Hey everybody, as you can see, Chen's already sat beside me. We've been having a little chin wag, so he came in a bit earlier. So it's the 2nd of July, and big apologies for not having gotten around to these to this session earlier. I've not had my knuckles wrapped actually, because Chen said that we needed the break, didn't you?
I did say you needed the break, my dear,
Yes.
but I think we did wrap your knuckles.
Yeah. Yes, bit of both. Okay, so big apologies for taking so long, but we did have a very, very nice holiday in Mallorca. Nice break, and here we are back again. So we picked out a few questions whilst we were away, actually. So shall we get cracking?
Yes, my dear.
Okay.
I think people have waited long enough.
I think you're right, yes. So the first question is from Joanne French. Hi, Chen. Can you help us understand NPCs, non-player characters? Is it a real thing, and are they soulless, or is this the souls and oversouls?
Yes,
Thank you.
very interesting question. So NPCs, or non-playing characters, as you perceive them, of course, this comes from the gaming world, the gaming concept, whereby as part of games, you have the core main characters. The same as on TV programs, really. You have the main core characters, and then you have the people behind the scenes, the person on television that's sweeping up behind the scenes, or the person that you see in a television program maybe washing up the dishes whilst the main characters are talking and such like. So the concept of an NPC is basically a character that's not part of the core environment in a game or in a television program. And of course, the same concept in life. So in life, you have the people that are the core people in your life. These are your partners, your wives, your family, your friends, your husbands, your children. And then most of you have jobs. So if you go to jobs, you have people that you connect with on a daily basis, and you orchestrate your life around this configuration. And then you have people that you see in the car park, you see people in the malls, in the shopping centres. You move past them with your shopping trolleys. You don't speak to them. You have nothing to do with them. You'll probably never see them again in your life. So these are the concept of a non-playing character in your life. Is it someone that you see that effectively is part of your vision, part of your TV program or theatre show, but you're never going to do anything with them or speak to them. So, of course, there are different ways to look at this. Some of those people are real people, just like you. So they're going about their normal life. They've got their families, their friends, and their jobs, and they see you in the supermarket queue or in the queue at the mall. They don't speak to you. They might look you up and down and notice what you're wearing. I think lovely shoes. I'd like a pair of shoes like that person over there. So you would be a non-playing character in their life. So there are two distinct differences. So there are people just like you, obviously, that you're going to see and come across in your life that have no bearing on your life, and they're real human people. They have a spiritual energy inside, like you do, my dear. And of course, you have the human physical body. But then there are what we tend to call more collective clone type energies. So these are people that you see. They're holographic images of people walking around that don't contain a human spiritual energy like yourself or like myself. So effectively, they're like a hologram that you see, and there can be other energies and entities either orchestrating the hologram or as part of the hologram. And they're also doing different things. And there are a whole list of different names. So people can call them shadow people. Psychics and mediums talk about people they see that are dressed in black, people with black hats. People talk about other entities they may see psychically, so grey aliens, those sorts of things. A lot of these entities and other energies people would perceive to be NPCs, non-playing characters in their life, and they're around you. And this kind of leads on quite nicely to what I've been saying for quite some time, is that as this vibration ascends on planet Earth, you're going to start to see other energies and entities in different ways. So you may start to see images of people from the 1930s or 40s. So you might be walking down the road and you'll think, goodness me, there's a horse and cart just literally gone straight past me, because the timelines are starting to overlay themselves. So different events happened in different timelines are starting to come forward. And you may see the concept of a mirage, where you look at water and you might see a building behind the water, but the building's not there. It's a mirage. These things happen in the desert quite often. So this is the same concept you're going to start to see in your human physical life on a day-to-day basis. People are going to start to observe things that aren't there, for other people, but they're seeing them because on their timeline and their vibration, they have access to these things. So people like yourselves have a very high vibration. Andrew's channeling my energy. He has a high vibration. He is psychic, he's telepathic. So he's going to start to connect with and see other entities and energies around in the daily life. And some of these things may be quite shocking at first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you might remember, my dear, just the other week on your holiday, he said that he saw the inside out person,
Yes.
which he laughed at and I thought was quite funny. So he saw the form of a physical human person, but with the organs on the outside and no skin. So a skinless person, basically. And he said, goodness me, there's an inside out person.
Yeah.
And of course, that was actually a real energy that he saw at the time, just that he perceived it to be some type of psychic hologram. But that energy was as real in itself as he was to that energy, if you see what I mean.
Okay, from what time? Where would that have come from?
The timeline?
Yes.
So just different entities that are here on the planet that are coming in. There are lots of different energies coming in different forms. So you all talk about the same things. You talk about reptilians as though they're the only thing. I mean, there's thousands of species that exist. There's thousands of species that exist in different frequencies of vibration and there are different versions of planet Earth on different timelines. So you can imagine if you're sat in a house on your timeline, but 50 years ago, there was a different person sat in the same place. The energy and the vibration is still there from that person.
Yes.
And effectively, you can imagine the two things could be overlaid on top of each other. Suddenly, someone would be sat on your lap.
Yeah.
And you say, goodness me, there's a lady sat on my lap.
In the same place
What's
as you.
she doing here?
Yes.
And she's thinking, goodness me, I'm on my timeline and I'm still living that timeline from the 1940s. But there's a gentleman from the future now that sat on my lap.
Yeah.
So this is what's going to start happening.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it, really?
Yes, a myriad of crazy events would seem as part of the progression into the higher frequencies. And of course, obviously, there are very negative entities that are still here trying to control things. And there are very positive spiritual entities, things that you would talk about as angels and those sorts of things that are going to start to manifest. And then we have all of the other conversations, my dear, about dragons and mythical creatures that have existed on planet Earth in the physical, and they're going to start to be seen again.
Yes.
So it's a magical time to be here. Magical.
Absolutely. That's why there's a big waiting list to come.
Yes, there is. So all of you that are listening, just think how lucky you are to be here. Even though your life may feel dramatic and terrible, it's quite a marvellous experience. Yes.
Yeah, we've had.
Yes. I know I could talk for hours, of course. So I know there's lots of other questions to get through. And I did sideline you slightly because I did want to take this conversation down a slightly different direction.
Yeah, we noticed.
Because I'm only allowed 5 questions.
No, I think there's 7.
7, okay.
Yeah,
so
I
seven.
picked a couple more.
So I thought if I do a sideline, maybe we could get some more in, but they're not really questions.
Well, hopefully that answered Joanne's question. Thank you. Number 2 question is from Shelley Beans. Hello, Chen. As always, I appreciate you working with us in this way. My question for you is this. How long should we leave a person's body where it is after they pass away? In nursing homes, I've seen them carried away within hours. I know that different cultures have different thoughts about this. Thank you in advance.
That's a very interesting question.
It is, yeah.
I don't think that's one that's come up.
No, it's the first time.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Shelley. Very interesting. So from our perspective spiritually, there isn't really an answer, because the answer is a physical answer. Because when, of course, you die, you take your last breath, the spirit basically disconnects from the physical carbon-based body and leaves. So the two things are disconnected. The spirit moves into the spiritual realm, different frequency of vibration. The physical body is obviously left on the bed. The physical body has no emotion. It has nothing to animate it anymore. There's no intelligence. So effectively, there is no use for that physical body. And it's now down to the family and the people as to what works for them. So different spiritual religions and cultures do different things. Some religions want the body to be dealt with very quickly. Other religions wrap it up in bindings and set fire to it. Some of them sail it off into the sea. So again, depends upon what country you're from and your cultural understanding, and your religion is the choice around the body. But from our perspective, physically, the spirit is the only part we're interested in, because that's the only intelligent part, and that's left. So the same way that you have a car, if you're not in the car rusts. So you could take it to the scrapyard, or you could leave it on the front drive for 100 years. It wouldn't really matter.
Okay, thank you. That sums it up, doesn't it? Thank you very much. Topher Love says, hello, Chen. Is there anything we could possibly do for friends or family that pass away due to overdose or something similar so they don't get stuck in the lower astral, so that they have guidance to the light and aren't a lost earthbound soul? I know that death isn't the end for them, but now my concern is them not making it to the healing place or the higher astral after death, especially in these instances aforementioned. Thank you.
Yes, another very interesting question.
Yeah.
So obviously when people die in different ways, obviously people that take their life, they commit suicide, or people that overdose on different drugs and such like, they're in a very negative place to do those things in the first place. So it's not like an accident where you're in a car accident and you suddenly end up dead. That's obviously a completely different thing. But someone that's taken their life or overdosed on drugs generally is living a very negative life. Therefore, their vibration is low because they're going to be in a fear-based, probably angry situation. So all of their energy and vibration is low. And of course, that means they will have attracted negative entities to them. And it's the entities that are the bigger problem, really, because, of course, when that person takes an overdose or commits suicide, generally there are entities that will try to harness their energy. They try to harness the vibration. We talked about this before, how entities sell energy, effectively. So entities will try and keep that spirit earthbound. And there's different ways, of course, they will do that from a spiritual perspective. But of course, what needs to happen to answer the question is either the family or somebody needs to be able to connect to a spirit like myself that's on the other side that can basically facilitate the transition of that spiritual person's energy back to the light, effectively. So from our perspective, it's uniquely simple. We have to be engaged. So someone has to think, Chen and your team, can you collect my son, my daughter, my parent, etc., who may be earthbound? We've been asked then, and we're asked to intervene. And if we're asked to intervene, then we can. But of course, if there's no mechanism to ask a spiritual entity, like, doesn't have to be myself, it could be other spiritual energies that do this type of work. And there are many spiritual mediums and psychics that basically work in some sort of soul collection transition type status. Yourselves now obviously have
I was about to say, we've
process.
just added this service, haven't we, actually?
Because it's come up so many times.
It has, yes.
We, my dear, have been doing it for years. Probably 10 years we've been working with our own clients, clients that come to yourself and Andrew, and we pick up on the fact that there is a contained earthbound that's tethered to an entity, and as part of our clearing process, we disconnect and remove the tether, and we transition them to the light. So this is something that we've been doing for years and years, but obviously to have it as a service is a more considered offering, and anyone that is spiritually able to and has connection to a spiritual energy like myself can obviously engage and orchestrate that transition.
Help them home, yes.
So if you're not spiritual and you're not really connected to your guide and you're not in that place, then you would obviously book a service with someone that's able to do that for you. But you, of course, if you are a medium or psychic, or you go to a mediumship group, or you have a group of people that are mediums, then of course that work can be undertaken as part of the normal day-to-day.
Yeah, okay.
Good question.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Joe, for that. It was. Mandy Jane, hi, Chen. I'm quite new here. I do shamanic journeying to speak to my spirit guides. How do I know that they are genuine and are giving me advice for my highest good?
Yes, another good question. So firstly, welcome to the group, my dear. It's lovely to have new people here, and obviously new questions. We probably covered this a few times in the past.
But I thought Mandy...
Yes, but I think from our perspective,
like to hear from you.
So there are different ways of doing things spiritually, and obviously the shamanic aspect and the shamanic training, it is the old way of doing things, natively connecting to the earth and the planet and trees and spirit, effectively. But the same spiritual lessons and rules apply. When you're connecting to anything you can't see that's spiritual, you have to question it 3 times. So if you're talking to your guide, my dear, you would say, are you from the highest light? 3 times, and you'd expect to get yes, yes, yes in your mind. And that confirms that you're talking to a positive energy, because they're working with universal law and they have to tell you the truth. And this is why we work with the power of 3. The same with the sovereignty check, my dear, that we do on clients every day. The first thing Andrew does when we connect to a client is he asks, Are they sovereign? Yes or no? 3 times, and that gives him the answer. And then we engage and connect, and we give him the spiritual advice from our perspective as to what's connected. So connecting to a guide, and all mediums should learn this. This is part of spiritual practice number 1. Rule number 1, kindergarten to a certain degree, is that if you're looking to become spiritual, mediumistic, or psychic, you have to learn to check what you're talking to when you can't physically see it.
Very important, isn't it?
And this should be taught on every single spiritual course by every single spiritual person.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not.
No.
We, of course, do this. We have a service whereby we have a spiritual protection course that obviously I encourage yourself and young Andrew to run, because we want to teach people. These are simple techniques. You don't need to be spiritually advanced genius to do them.
Right.
It's rule number 1 from the book. Checking what you're talking to.
Yes.
And if you don't get 3 yeses, you disconnect immediately, because then it's inherently negative. And this is something that young Andrew does say a lot and repeats quite a lot, is that if you're playing with an occult device like a Ouija board, and you sit round a table with lots of other people and say, is anyone there? Guess what?
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to connect to you is something negative.
Yes.
Because all of us positive spiritual energies take 1 step backwards, because we think they've got no idea what they're doing. They haven't employed any of the spiritual rules of protection. Therefore, there's no way I'm going to connect and start to work with someone that's using a Ouija board or an occult tool like a pendulum. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But of course, the negative energies or negative discarnate spirit around the space are drawn like a moth to a light. They say, oh, got a new bunch of people, no idea what they're doing. They're asking us to connect to them, so giving away their permission and power. Therefore, we can connect and engage in conversation. We can give them some truthful things that will make them align themselves with us. And then this will become a routine. Every weekend they get together, they use a Ouija board or something as a tool to connect. We'll connect, and then we start to take them on a divisive, negative journey with interference and chaos in their life.
Yeah. And nobody wants that, do they?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Courtney Martin says, hi, Chen. Is everyone's spirit guide team able to assist people that want to get into SRT work? If you take the training, would you get new guides to help with releasing spirits? Thanks, Chen, Andy, and of course, Jane and Vanessa.
Yes. It's nice to be thanked. It's one idea, isn't it? Because you and Vanessa are as big a part of the team as myself. In fact, you're probably the bigger part of the team, because without you, there wouldn't be a team.
Maybe keep the balls in the air.
Yes, sometimes.
We'll try. Sometimes.
Yes, but it's an interesting question, Courtney. But thank you. From our perspective, the way it works is the same as in the physical world. When you grow up, you basically align yourself with a job, and you get taught and trained to do the job that you end up doing. So you can't do the job beforehand, but you get taken down the path and you get trained. So the same from a spiritual perspective. Spirit guides are picked for different reasons, normally by yourself before you come in. And those guides may be ex-family members or people in your hierarchical family that are there to basically journey you and take you from an emotional perspective down the path to a certain point. If you then become interested in things like SRT and other spiritual practices, these are very predominantly precise practices that require very high energies, and therefore they generally pull in higher level guides. So like myself, when I started with Andrew, my do you'll remember, we couldn't do spirit release therapy in the way we do now. 20 years ago, we were performing psychic surgery at the time, which was a very different practice. So as Andrew showed more interest in clearing and removing negativity and connecting with entities and talking to everything that was negative on the planet that he could, which wasn't the best idea at the time, if I remember.
Caused us a few problems.
Still breathing today, though, so it obviously worked in the end. The same with spirit guide. So you will, my dear, attract probably a new team that do that and facilitate that for you. So I'm the same. I have a team around me now of some very prominently high vibrating entities that do things that I couldn't do myself. So when I work with Andrew, we connect to a client. If the client has some very negative energies and discarnate spirits around, I look at the vibration level and then decide if I'm going to perform the clearing or whether we call in higher energies to do that for us.
Okay.
So the same for people. When you make the choice that you want to perform or do this work, this SRT type of work, then as soon as you make that choice, your guide will connect probably with us behind the scenes. We will then decide whether your guide gets trained to do the work with you, or whether your guide stays your guide as your primary guide, but then they just invoke and call off behind the scenes energies like myself.
Whatever they need.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is why, if you actually ask that question on the Spirit Release Academy pages of the trainees and the students that have been trained as practitioners, it will be interesting to see how many of them have a new guide now they didn't have before.
Yes.
And there will be a portion that have actually attracted new guides, and there'll be a portion of them that will tell you their guides have had to be trained, and the guides have been on a learning curve as well.
Okay. And perhaps facilitators that currently have a guide but are facilitating may become mediums and have new guides at that point. So,
they will.
Yeah.
All facilitators will end up as mediums.
Yes.
Over time, because of course they're intuitively connecting to a medium all the time.
Yes.
They're working in the same way. They'll be learning and hearing the conversations. So it's a bit like a car mechanic idea, isn't it? If you take a young lad on who works in a garage, to start with, he's just washing the cars, and then he's taking the wheels off. And the next thing you know, he's changing the gearbox, or he's watching someone change the gearbox. And if he watches that person do it 100 times, he then feels confident that he can do them.
Yeah.
So all facilitators will probably end up, well, most definitely end up as mediums over time.
Fantastic.
This is something that we haven't actually broadcast, actually. So this is new information that you're divulging here, my dear.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no doubt they'll be very happy to hear that. Thank you. Ariana Gonzalez, I spoke to you this morning, I think, on Facebook, just to say that we have picked the questions. Hi, Chen. Thank you for your dedication to this. Is there a hierarchy in the astral? Who is directly below source? Are we supposed, this is several questions, are we supposed to pray to our higher self, source, the archangels, or just whoever we want to? Thank you, Chen, Vanessa, Jane, and Andy, and much love.
And we forgot young Bertie.
Oh, Bertie, yes. Yes, we did. Yes.
Part of the team.
Bertie's part of the team.
Because he was sat on my lap licking me a moment ago. And that's the first time he's ever done that.
Yes, our little Yorkshire Terrier. He generally avoids you when Chen's in. He avoids coming anywhere near Andy.
Yes.
And but today he decided he wanted to come and
stand on my
lick
lap.
the hands and yes.
I've never been licked by a dog before.
Haven't you?
No, your other dog wouldn't come near me, if you remember.
No, she wouldn't. No.
So things must be changing.
Yes.
So animals are finding that my energy is probably more accepting, or he may have been slightly wondrous as to what had changed, because he's looking at Andrew's body, but there's not, the energy is completely different.
That's right. Yes.
But interesting that he did that.
Yes.
Obviously not answering the question.
No. Can you remember the questions?
Yeah. So
yes.
from the question around who and what you pray to, again, this comes back to your programming, really. So you were programmed from school, you've been programmed by your family, you've been programmed by your religion and culture. So again, praying probably isn't the right word from my perspective. It's which energy you're connecting to, or you choose to connect to. So if we work on the concept that you have a pyramid in the way that you understand things, and source energy is the top of the pyramid. So if you think of the highest vibration, again, people use the word light. So we're moving to the light, we're connecting to the light. That would be what we would term in that way to be the source energy. And then effectively from that highest vibration, there's going to be different tiers of vibration. I myself sit in a tier. Archangels and the angelic realm is in a high tier. Demonic entities are right at the bottom, obviously.
Yeah.
And there are obviously things below them too. So there is a hierarchical pyramid of energy. So you use different words for energy. So again, when you say, who do you pray to? Who would you want to pray to? If you want to connect to a particular angelic entity, so Archangel Michael, let's say. So if you want to align yourself with him, you start to think about Archangel Michael, you effectively pray to him. So your vibration hits his vibration when you think of him, and then he will at some point possibly connect with you. And then we have mediums and psychics that are basically channeling some of these vibrations, some of these energies. And obviously there's a whole raft of them. And there's a whole raft of hundreds of demonic entities that you also could think about and connect to. So what you think about is the vibration you align yourself with, and that's what's going to be magnified effectively. So from my perspective, connecting to just source energy or your own energy, because inside you, you are source, of course, your spirit.
Yes.
You have
We're all part
intelligence.
of source.
Yes, you're part of source. So connecting to yourself really is the best thing from my perspective. And this is what I taught young Andrew when we did meditations and we do a protection such like we open our own light and we connect to our own self. We clear ourselves with light. And then we connect to source energy, which is the highest vibration possible. And then we ground that spiritual energy into the planet that you exist on. So it's grounding the physical part of you, the spiritual part of you with the physical into the earth. So we're working on the concept that you are this physical being that exists on planet Earth, but you are light, you are source. You don't need to connect to any other entity or any other thing. And this, of course, is where religion over the years has been corrupted, because this is what religion used to portray and it used to teach. And then we started to have it corrupted by different organizations and changed. Now the people pray to a certain thing or person. And of course, if you're praying to another person or another organization or a thing, it's not light and it's not the highest.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you.
There's a certain
much.
word I could use, but I'm choosing not to because I'm aware that many people that listen to this are part of that organization.
Yes, I know. Yes, I realise. Yes.
Very good, my dear. Yes. See, you're telepathic too.
I can read between the lines too.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Hope that helps and makes sense, Ariana. So a final question is one that you're not going to directly answer.
Okay.
But I wanted to throw it in, or Andy and I wanted to throw it in, and it's from one of our oldest clients.
That's a bit naughty, my dear.
Well, Nina Rivera, one of our oldest clients, considered a friend. She's lovely.
You've
known her a long time.
Yes, I'm very aware, my dear.
Yes. So you know what she's going to ask.
I can guess.
Okay. You might not get a straight answer.
This is the second or third time, I think, in the last few months.
Maybe, but then you never know. One of these days, you might.
You're hoping to catch me out. Yes, interesting.
I will let Nina do it this time.
Yes.
So, Nina would like to know who or what you are really.
Of course she would.
Not your past avatar incarnation as Chen. I've lost count of the number of SRT sessions you've done for me, and your energy tells me you are more than Chen. Gracias, Chen, por todo lo que haces por mí y mi familia.
Yes.
Thank you for all you've done for me and my family.
Yes, and I acknowledge the thanks. It's very nice to hear.
Terrible Spanish, sorry.
And obviously she's very perceptive because, of course, all of you know on this call, and you, my dear, know very well, Chen is the avatar I choose to use.
I know.
And there are reasons that I choose to use that avatar because Chen, as I depict him, was me in a past life. That was an energy that I had. I did live in China, or part of me did. And I did live with Iona, as you know, my dear. You know the story, of course.
I do, yes.
But this is who I have been. So it's not an inconsistency or a lie to say that this is who Chen is. That was who Chen was.
Of course,
Chen was a very a menial tasked farmer, a rice farmer that had no real life from a spiritual perspective. But it was part of me.
But you also had a dependency on smoking nettles, didn't you?
I did enjoy them. Yes. Cannabis, effectively, or effectively the way
nettles, didn't you?
It was nettle, yes. But of course, some of the plant names and the genetics have changed over the time, if you like. But cannabis is the more is the family that we would have been using because, of course, cannabis has active ingredients that are quite nice for the human physical being.
Yes.
And of course,
I'm not saying go out and try and smoke nettles.
No, we can use it in tea. Nettle's very good to clear the liver and such like and detoxify. But yes, you're right. I obviously was taking substance. Everyone was taking substance. If you look at shamanic practitioners, they still do that to have their connection. So as to who I am, I was Chen, of course. What you're talking to today isn't Chen. I call myself Chen because that's my avatar costume. In the same way that you get dressed in the morning and you put your clothes on, and you, my dear, put your lipstick on and you do your eyes and such like, and you become something very flourishing and different. From the morning when your hair's all stuck over the place, and you don't have the lipstick and the eyeliner and all of the adornments on.
Yes,
so you
become, bed hair and
you become something different, and therefore I am. Of course, energetically, what we're talking about is vibration and energy. And yes, I have a very high vibration now. I have a vibration that's so high because of the intention and the work that I do and the energies that I have access to. And again, it's the teaching concept. So the same as we talked earlier about the young lad that works in a garage and he washes the cars and then he watches someone changing the gearbox, so eventually he can change the gearbox. That was I. So my energy has been that. But I'm also connected to off-planetary entities. And of course,
I know when you go quiet, you're listening to what you're allowed to say.
yes, I'm checking.
Yes.
There are certain off-planetary entities that have a hugely high vibratory energy, and my energy is imbued with that.
Yes.
And I have access to talk to and connect to them. And this is what we're doing on planet Earth. I'm perceiving myself to be this Chen figure that's very jovial, which of course I am, very jovial. But energetically, I'm here to make change and do things. And to do that, I work with a team of extremely high vibrating entities that are off human Earth
Yes.
planet.
Yes. Thank
How's
you.
that, my dear,
Thank
for
you.
added information, but you won't get a name off me.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
So
Thank you
I will
very
always be
much.
Chen, basically.
Of course, yes.
So as the years go
Of
forward,
course.
and we engage with people and we teach people and we do the things we do, they will always refer to me as Chen.
Of course, yes.
Of course,
yes.
all of you are spiritually intelligent people and you know that I'm not a rice farmer.
There's other energies, yes. Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Chen. I hope that answers your question somewhat, Nina.
Yes.
You were right.
Of course she's right, my dear.
Yes.
She's very intelligent and she's very connected spiritually.
Yeah.
And of course, most of you that have my energy connect to yours. When we clear people, we bring our vibration into your etheric field and you feel it. You, my dear, now you must feel a difference being sat in my vibration.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
So how do you feel?
I feel
I need to put you on the spot at some point.
well,
apparently,
yes, apparently, I will be doing lives at some point, according to Chen. So this is just the very start, and I've always shied away from it, but there we are.
Yes. And how do you feel in yourself from a vibratory perspective? Because you're sat in my field.
I feel very peaceful. I feel very strong. I feel very confident.
I like the words.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Well, your vibration is coming up to my level because you're in my field.
Yes.
So as I sit here populating Andrew's physical body, his vibration raises enormously. Then anyone that's going to stand or sit next to me, their vibration is going to ascend because I'm going to pull it up.
Yes.
And this is what happens when we
clear
people.
Positive too.
Yes, we don't have negative thought. We don't have intrusive thought. We obviously are 100% confident and positive because we don't have the physical aspects to concern ourselves with.
No. And the day-to-day problems that we have when we're living a life.
Yeah. So if you can imagine
human form.
Yes, if you imagine a hurricane come into your space, if you're sat waiting for a clearing and you've got entities connected to you and discarnate spirit around your space and portals and negative parasites that are crawling through your field, and we come in with a hugely massive vibration, like a hurricane would come in, it just clears that space in seconds, basically. And that's why people feel that happen. And then we check the space and we leave them protected and clear and we hand them back to their guide. And they instantly should feel that enormous change. They have to then maintain it, of course.
Yes. Yes. Okay, well, thank you ever so much for your time today. Your time in our time.
I don't have time.
No, I know. No.
I have to wait for your time, generally.
Yes. Our linear time can be actually quite a nuisance, having linear time, but there we are.
It's not a nuisance, my dear. It's how you
it's structured,
perceive yourself to live.
Yeah.
And this is where, of course, time is changing and people are going to find they can do more things in parallel on the same time. So if you start to think differently, start to think of yourself doing two tasks at the same time, one physical, one mental. You should be able to start to split. Yes, I know only females can do it, but hopefully some of the lesser spotted males of the species might start to be able to do it if they can turn the television off for long enough.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that. A lot of football on at the moment, isn't there?
Well, there'll always be a distraction.
Yeah.
It's been
not in our house, but
not in our house, no, my dear. There used to be, if you remember.
Yes.
We encouraged Andrew into a more interesting life choice.
Yes, it's very true. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with watching football.
No, of course, it's what you do to relax.
Everybody's choice, absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's a programming mechanism. for the male of the species generally. But
Oh,
times are changing.
see where Andy gets it from.
It's from me, of course, my
Yes.
dear. I tried to educate, and we need him to evolve because he's
Yeah.
a spiritual teacher. Therefore,
Yes.
for him to teach, he has to understand. And we do have lots of arguments behind the scenes, I can assure you.
Okay, right. Well, our linear time has ticked along. So we need to say thank you very much and goodbye. We love and appreciate you, as always. Thank you,
Yes.
Chen.
And I've enjoyed our chat. And I certainly enjoyed the earlier conversation, my dear, because we covered
Yes.
lots of ground.
Yes.
So I will
Yes.
say good day to everyone and thank you for listening and watching. And we'll look forward to this being slightly more regular.
Thank you, Chen. Oh.